Hi guys, this is part 2 of Death in the Bayou, known as the Jennings 8. 8 women killed for whatever reason, drugs, money, prostitute, they knew too much, or there was a serial killer lurking in the bayou. As we finished off on my video, the first video, we're still on Shelia, the first victim. Kamos is her last name. When she was attacked, brutally beaten nearly to death a year before, she finally passed away on suspicious circumstances in the hospital. They think she was poisoned, and the poison was put in her food or drink, alleged. She was dragged out of the vehicle through a window. I mean, her face was beaten so bad, cut up so bad, and she didn't look like the same person. At the time, well, I don't really know what she was doing at the time in the car. Was she talking to somebody? Who was she with? And whose car was she in? Whose vehicle was she dragged out of? And whose vehicle was it? She was asked later on questions about her case, and she was okay speaking to certain people. But when a certain cop came near her, a certain detective, I don't know if it's a detective or a chief or a regular cop, she would just clam up and shut up, like in fear. The fear was there. And you got to remember, this lady needs to be taken care of. She's not fit to take care of herself. She was in a nursing home, and then she went to her brother's place to be looked after, and then she eventually had to go into a hospital for some surgery, some skin grafts. And she never came out of that hospital alive. The chief of police at that time, his name was Johnny. And the sheriff at that time was Ricky Edwards. Now, Ricky Edwards is the one that did the, I think he did the ID series, you know, the program, and he showed everybody, you know, news crew, whoever, showed them exactly where each body was found and located. And I guess he would tell them, you know, who found them, but not really giving any names. I don't think they knew who found the bodies. They didn't mention their names. Don't know who they are, but it's just people hunting, fishing, and they called them hunters. And then as the bodies were piling up and people were going missing, volunteers were just going out just to look for a body. They were going out looking. As soon as somebody went missing, they went out looking for a body because they had no faith. The citizens had no faith that this person was coming back alive. And remember, guys, if anybody is not really familiar with this case, it started this a long time ago, at least 20 years ago now. And back in 1999, there was a string of murders. There's a lot of men that were killed too. I don't know if they were prostitutes or whatever. But there was just dropping like flies. And their bodies were just tossed like trash in the bayou. And all kinds of things. God knows what happened to these people. Because I don't really think they had a real good autopsy. And some of them could not tell who they were, and there was nothing to autopsy. And money back then depends where you come from. They may not have a lot of money to do a full autopsy, if you know what I mean, like drugs and DNA like you do now. But in the evidence room, there was a lot of evidence. Like, we go back to the video that I did, the first one. The chief of police, Johnny, he was arrested. And maybe this wasn't the first time that he stole from the evidence room. He got caught stealing from the evidence room. Now, I don't know what he was stealing at this time. Maybe I should find out, see what he was stealing. But it was evidence. Evidence to what case. But this probably wasn't his first time. Well, anyway, he ended up being arrested. And I guess he got fired. Okay, let go. And then another thing happened to this case. It's one disaster from another. Now, this case has been going on a long time. It's a cold case, but it's an open cold case. It's still ongoing. But a lot of the evidence that they obtained was stored in the basement, in the evidence room, wherever it's located, was destroyed by water. Oh yes, guys. They had a flood. And it was nothing to do with Louisiana getting flooded by the floods. It was a pipe that burst, alleged. And they couldn't save the evidence. Maybe most of it has gone. Maybe all of it was lost. Was it just that case, the girls' killings? Was it just them? Or was it everybody's case that had been before and after? So, somebody don't want this case to be solved. Or, years later, to be able to get hold of this information that has been lost, and the witnesses are gone, long gone, too scared to talk anymore, or have too passed away, or lost their mind, one or the other. So these events going on, very suspicious. So this could have been just some pipe burst, the water, or it could have been deliberately. We don't know, alleged. And And that is that part. And you know, a lot of people are saying that the cops are involved. Not all of them, because they're not all bad, but you know, there's the good, bad, and the ugly. And there always is. There's always some dirty cop. And they happen everywhere in the big cities. They're involved in everything, even trafficking, stealing your cars, making trumped up charges, stopping you for anything, planting stuff in your car. And yes, they do. And yes, they do, and it's been proven. But that's not everybody, but that's just the dirty ones. The cops got anger issues. They end up murdering their own girlfriends and wives. You know, a lot of cops have done dirty. They should never have been a cop. I mean, you should have evaluation, your mental status. But you know, when you have a partner and you know that he's got some problems, where do you go? You can't be a snitch. And if you do try to tell somebody, and then you're the bad guy. So it's very hard for cops to go against each other in fear of their life too. And that's just how it goes. But we need to change that, because you know, you are being paid by the public to serve and protect, not kill and steal. Shelia's daughter said, you know, like I said, she was in the hospital when she died. But after the beating that her mother received, it put her into the, the Welsh nursing home, and then to her uncle's, an old Air Force base multi-care building in Lake Charles. And then she went to the hospital a year later to get a skin graft. And there she died after eating a meal. And like I said, let's follow this case, and justice for the victims, and maybe in 2019 will be justice. Let us spread this case and share and like. All the family members need justice and closure. This case needs work, and I'm sure they're working on it slowly, like I said. It's a journey to justice. And now we're just talk about some interviews and statements and comments and some profiling and some news and some photos of the case in the past years. These murders were also known as the Jeff Davis Parish murders, 2005 to 2008. As you know, the family relived the case because they did an exclusive access ID, you know, the channel ID, investigating channel, interviewed the family members, some of the family members. And the family did this because they want their cases, of all the cases, to be known, keep it in the news. These are unsolved cases. So, but the program was called the Jennings 8, Death in the Bayou. But they were the Jeff Davis Parish murders that happened in Jennings also. And the daughters and the niece spoke. There was Taylor and Jones and Brittany and the father, one of the fathers. They did an interview. Now, on the 28th, not the 28th, but the 20th of May, 2005, a 28-year-old Loretta, and she was found in a canal in a rural Jeff Davis parish, last seen 3 days before. And this would be the start of a 4-year period of when these 8 women were being murdered one by one. Murdered and being found dead. And we all know they didn't kill themselves or get where they got by themselves. The last known victim, that is, was Nicole Jean. She was found near an Interstate 10, the Interstate 10, in August 2009. And we'll just list the people off. Loretta Lynn. She was found on a Friday, on the 20th of May, 2005, at the time of 11:06. Ernestine Daniels. She was found on a Saturday, on the 18th of June, 2005 at 0.18 hours. And she was found 29 days after Lynn was found. And that's how it's going to go as I read it. Christine E. Gary Lopez was found on a Sunday, on March the 18th, 2007 at 11:54. And this was 638 days later than Ernestine. Whitney Dubose was found on a Saturday, on the 12th of May, 2007 at 7.26 hours. And she was found 55 days later than Christine. Then we have Laconia Brown. She was found on a Thursday, on the 29th of May, 2008 at 2.52 hours, 386 days later. The next victim, Crystal Shea. She was found on a Thursday, September the 11th, 2008 at 14:45 hours. 105 days later. Then we have Brittany Gary. She was found on a Saturday, November the 15th, 2008, at 12:34 hours. 65 days later. And then we have Nicole. Gulori. She was found on a Tuesday, August the 19th, 2009. 276 days later. These are the days that they were found and approximately the time they were found by whoever they were found by, the hunters, the people looking for bodies, passers-by. They're also estimated a time when a date of their death estimated. So Chasison, or how you pronounce it, is estimated date of death was 5/17/205, and her last time seen, the date she was seen, was the same day, 5/17/2005, and it was a Tuesday. Now Patterson, estimated date of death was the 6th of the 16th, 2005. Last seen date, of course it's the same, 6/16/2005, and last seen was a Thursday. And Lopez, that's 3/6/2007, and that's the same thing, it's a Tuesday, and the next one is the 5th of the 10th, 2000. It was on a Thursday. And Brown was the 5th of the 27th, 2008. It was a Tuesday. And Zeno was the 8th of the 29th, 2008, which was a Friday. And Gary was 11 to the 2nd of November 2008 was a Sunday, and Gulori, if I'm saying that right, was the 8th of the 16th, 2009, which was a Sunday. So those are the dates they were found, and by going what people said the last time they saw them, some of them was days before, but they don't know whether they were actually killed on the same day they went missing, or probably were the last day they see them alive was probably they died that day. But estimate, and that's all you can go by, but these, as you look at the dates and you look at the difference between the periods of the time of these killings, which that doesn't mean there was more killings going on in between. Seemed like there was a lot of people dying around that parish area. They all might be connected in a way. You never know. So many people going missing. It's ridiculous. And they're dropping off like flies, so to speak, not to be crude, but, what was going on. So that just gives you a rough idea on, those details. Here are a little bit of a profile that was made up by a Dr. Godwin. He did a profile on the case back in 2008, and as you read it, it's up there now. I won't read it all, but you can read it. Obviously, it says it's a male between the age of 28 and 34, white with a tan, unskilled, high school dropout, single but maybe divorced, and no military service and he has past convictions, burglary, DWI, and drugs convictions. And criminal convictions do not reflect a complete criminal record of this killer. And in his opinion, most likely he has committed rapes and murders that have gone undetected. And he does state that, in his opinion, that he will keep killing until arrested. Well, this killer is pretty old now, 30 years gone by, so say he's 60 something now. He either died of a drug overdose or something like that, or he's just, gone ghost. But there is somebody out there. There is somebody out there. But, a lot of serial killers, like he says, will keep killing until they get caught. Well, he hasn't got caught yet. He hasn't got caught yet. And maybe never will. But let's hope that somebody does come forward. And because people talk. Most people talk. I'm not saying, there are some people that can keep their mouth shut. But if you drink, if you take drugs, if you get close to somebody and you tell them all your secrets, that's the time. That's the time. But if this person has been profiled to have an explosive personality, quick-tempered, self-centered, aggressive, rapes women, degrades them, hates them, all those kind of things. He beats up women, he uses them, he rapes them, he murders them. He's emotional, for a reason. Maybe a bad upbringing. Maybe he was left to defend for himself, or maybe his father or somebody was a woman beater. Never had any love. He doesn't know how to show love except to beat women. He's in an emotional rage. But he's aware of what he's doing. And he also says, victims that were dumped in the water were placed there to get rid of physical evidence, but not everybody was found in the water. These victims were killed at different times, different methods. We don't know if they were raped or some had their neck sliced, strangled. I don't know if they were stabbed or anything, but different means. So that's why they're saying that it wasn't a serial killer. But this doctor seems to think it's one person. Who knows? It could be two brothers or something. Two crazy people. Because that does happen. There's a movie out. There's quite a few movies out about true stories, and where these men in different countries, even different countries, it happens all over the world, that one time it was two brothers, and they would hunt women down and then tell them to run, and they would hunt them like animals. And then, the end result would be target practice. And there's many family members that do this. So you never know. It could be two brothers. It could be a family. They could all be having a mental illness. Either they're slow, or they were just beaten as children and they don't know no different. And so maybe people remind them of their parents. You've had it. You're done. Even if you look like them, sound like them, dress like them, you're a target in their eyes, because they're sick, And he also says, as we read along, that he grew confident that, that he was not going to get caught. And, of course, he would just leave his victims in plain view on an isolated dirt road. I mean, he wasn't even hiding them anymore. And of course, he says that a local person would not dump victims in the areas near his home. Yeah, some people do, because they think they're smart than the average person. They think they're smarter because they're confident. Now, all these murders happened in a small area. Now, this person must know this area. Perhaps he goes fishing there. He knows a lot of people. Now, these fishermen, or these hunters, they all, they get together and have a drink and do some weed and smoke and whatever they do. Somebody's got to have heard something. They got to know their crazy friend is the murderer. And of course, they think they're just smarter. They're very smart. And it doesn't matter what you tell them. They're not going to believe you anyway, because they think you're a drunken fool. And so, that may be the case. And maybe they're too drunk to even understand what the hell that person's saying. But I bet you there was a few conversations and a few things slipped, but nobody's paying any attention. Nobody's paying any attention to it. So there are people that murder people and bury them right near them to keep them close, or to keep an eye on what's going on them around. The police. They're watching the police. They're watching them, see, what they're doing. It could even be a cop. It could even be somebody in the police force. Could be, just alleged. I'm just saying. It could be anybody, because nobody is believing anybody. They're not trusting anybody because it could be them. You don't know. And this effect could be a normal person. Could be a normal person with all these traits, but what I'm saying, he could have a normal job. he can function, anything like that. It could be your neighbor, it could be your brother, your son. And you know, sometimes family don't give up their family. They don't give up. They don't give them up. They just stay away from them. Say, don't go near him. And they stay away. They stay their distance. But they never give them up. And that could be the case. The brother to their sister is not giving them up. They could have children. Could have children. And they most likely were beaten too. But there is somebody out there. If this man married somebody later on in life, found a woman that would stick by him through thick and thin, he's probably talked to her. And she's not saying nothing because she's either abused mentally, physically, and she's waiting for him to die before she says anything. You know how it is. That's happened in many cases. Many cases. And he goes on, as you can read now, to the short-term investigated considerations. That, as you read along, detectives should interview people from companies located in or near the area. Because this doctor, did this map, and he located different spots, and so he thinks, they're near the area. Well, I think they're near the area too. I mean, this person must have a car or something, because, the location in areas, in that weather and the heat and everything, do you think they would drag the body all over the place? No. They've got a vehicle. And it's probably not a car. It's probably a van, in my opinion. A van. And these people probably knew him. Now, if you question people and they know who they associate with, just say they were prostitutes, they weren't prostituting all the time. What I mean is, if they were prostituting at the time and other prostitutes seen one talking to one and she disappears, and then they see the same person talking to another person and she disappears, you can see a pattern. It's the same person, because every time they're talking to him, they're never seen again. Did that ever happen? I'm sure these women wanted to talk but didn't want to say nothing because they didn't have no protection. This person maybe have been interviewed and then released, and then where would they be? That's what I mean. That's what I'm saying. So guys, that's the end of part 2 on the Jeff Davis Parish murders in Louisiana in near Jennings, known as the Jennings 8. Murders in the bayou in Louisiana. So don't forget to like and share and sub to my channel and press the notification button. And thank you as always. I'm going to do the third video to get some more information out there of events and comments that people have made, their view, their suspicions over the years. And I mean, family members do talk about it and have a discussion forum for it as well, private. And you know, these family members and victims, they need closure. And somebody needs to come forward with whatever little information that they have, either big or small. It doesn't matter how silly it sounds, or you know, but somebody out there needs to come forward. You need to get in touch with the appropriate people. You need maybe to get in touch with a family member. And if you're scared, you need not give your name. But you do need to come forward and give your statement and get this person off the street. And it doesn't matter if this person has changed through the years and is a good person now. It's what he has done in the past. Because these people had a family. These women had a family, had a life, had children. And it was taken away from them. And, you know, their ages were from 17 to 30 years old. That's all they were. Now, they didn't have a life because somebody snuffed it out. And I don't know whether they robbed them for little money. But I feel this, you know, these people knew each other. And they felt safe with this person. Because how would they be led to where they got to without screaming? Unless they were kidnapped and thrown in a truck or something. You know, he lured them off and say, hey, let's go do some drugs, or let's go have a beer. And that's how he got them in the car. I don't know. But there's somebody out there that knows. So guys, that's the end of video 2. And I'll make another one later, and let's have a discussion on this case. We need to lighten up this case. It needs to light up. It's a cold case, but it's getting warmer. It's getting warmer. They're quietly getting new evidence, but very slowly. And we don't even know how much evidence they got. But you know, this case has been cold for too long. And it's not just between the year 2005 and 2009. There was murders before that. And then there was Shelia Kumos. And even though she's not part of the 8, they feel it's connected. It's connected. Because why was she targeted and beat so badly? Was it a pimp? Do you know what I mean? A pimp. Because, you know, if they don't hand their money over, they don't do what they want, they get beaten. Or like I said, she knew too much. She was an informant and knew too much. And she had said it to the wrong person, and the orders were out there to shut her up and make her suffer. Because they were out to kill her, but didn't. But they didn't come out, you know, and strangle her, you know, or stab her to death, or shoot her. No, they beat the hell out of her and made her suffer. They beat her till she was unrecognizable, or lost, you know, brain damage. And they beat her. They were wanting to beat her to death. What a way to die. You know, that is on the orders of somebody. They wanted to watch her suffer and pay. Because that's an awful death, to be beat like that. Okay, guys, thanks for stopping by, and I'll see you in the comments.